Welcome in, everyone. We're going to cover why you never give up in a Zwift race. This is at this point in my fitness, this is the beginning of August. I think August 11th, maybe. I made the decision, because I've been doing Sunday Race Club, getting my butt kicked. So I made a decision to start doing some serious training to try to improve. And this was one of the races to where I didn't care about the overall result. What I cared about was the training. So this is one of the races to where I don't care about the finish. I want to put myself in the, kind of like training on things for Sunday Race Club. Some VO2 and some threshold. This is mass start, as you can see. So we've got A's, B's. Now you're coming out of the pen, ripping up the hilly KOM. So if you're not warmed up, you're in a world of hurt. And as you can see, I mean, this is already stretched out. I think this group right here, I don't think those other guys ever come back. So this is already separated down to 7, 8, maybe 9 guys. So just to get to this point, you already had to be able to put down some pretty big power. And now as we go through this, I mean, this is at what, 44K there. So we got a little zooming along here. There will be a few spots that I want to highlight, because my goal in this is to push myself. So I don't care necessarily about doing work in the group here. I know there's going to be the the Heli KOM, Titans Grove KOM, and then the Itza party climb. I know I'd done this a day or two before, so I knew it was about a 10-minute effort at race pace. And so there's basically 3 large efforts within this, and then being mass start. Normally mass start races are pretty spicy. And as we could see here, at this point, we are just kind of chilling. We're not really doing much work, but my fitness at this point, I'm going to go pretty deep here. As you will see, one of the largest things about Zwift racing, and you see it a lot. As soon as is there any kind of gap, the group sets up. So coming up, especially once we get to Titans Grove, that's going to be a big highlight of this. But overall, the race itself up to this point, I see the B go off the front, so I'm going with him. I'm not going to. Kind of the whole mentality of the race is be in every move, even if it goes nowhere. Do the work and push yourself. I don't care about the finish of the race. I'm not worried about the result. This is one of the times where I'm solely covering every move and going to stay with the front group. That's the whole tactic. No matter what, I don't care what's coming up. It's all about this next thing. Don't drop the wheel. So that's how I'm approaching this race. It's not necessarily I want to win. This is my workout at preparing myself for Sunday Race Club, for those efforts. So it doesn't matter. My whole goal is stay on the front, stay with every single wheel possible. And I do hit it up out of here. I think everyone comes back. I don't think anyone drops off. Now I get a gap. Yeah, I see they all come back. And you can see we have 2 teammates, a B and an A from draft. So in this situation, team tactics is a very big part of this, because let's say those 2 are like, hey, let's make something happen. You got to kind of be aware of that. And not just within the mixed starts, all the races. You can have 2 or 3, and it could even be like someone I'm just friends with, I'll hop in a race and we might, hey, we're going to do this. So you always got to kind of, especially if they have the team kits, if they are riding together, or there's a chance they could be riding together and working for a certain goal, which the main goal is to win. This part of Titan's Grove is one of my favorites. Like, I love the scenery to this. Racing it like this kind of sucks because it's very lumpy and you got to put some pretty big digs into this. I know, a fun fact here, if you look, there is a second bear. Everyone focuses on Jarvis. There is a second bear that, I'm saying she because I'd say it's Jarvis's girlfriend, but she is on the left side as in this direction. Sometimes she's up on top across from Jarvis, and sometimes as soon as you come down that little kicker, right on the left-hand side, she's walking through there. So occasionally you'll see a second bear. Everyone focuses on Jarvis, but if you ride through there enough, you'll see the second bear. All right, so here, coming up here in a few seconds, we are going to slow it down. And I want this whole entire scene to play out. Look, I'm off. I don't got it. All right. I'm not in the front group. So majority of Zwift racers, all right, they're sitting up. You can see already, like I did too, because I'm dying. I went deep for that. Someone's saying they're toast. I'm still getting a gap. And I'm like, in my head, I'm kind of like, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do? So just hammer down. The whole thing was, all right, I'm not stopping. I'm going to try to catch these guys because they're going to try to rest a little bit. The guys behind me, they set up. They're not going to chase. They're done. That was my mindset at this point right now. There's 6 seconds up. And I hit the hammer. Like, I've got no choice. I have to, if I'm going to catch on, I have to give everything I have to try to make this back. And this is the one, I guess this race was one of the few times I've actually steered in a race, coming down Titan's Grove here, and then later on a little bit. But normally I don't even steer. I'll just let Zwift do its thing. And this race seemed like steering and auto steering, because the steering issue for non-steers and steers comes up later once we get further into this. But I don't think the majority of Zwift racing, it really affects anything. Now, in the situation we are in right now, where I am trying to get back, it might make a difference. Very small. I'm not saying it doesn't. It might be a small advantage, but when you're in a group setting, there's very little benefit to it, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong. So here, now, like I am, and now you can see they are pushing. They are like, hey, we're not going to let him catch. And that could be where the team tactics is, the 2 draft guys and the other A, and they're Canadian. Maybe they're just going, hey, we're Canadian. We don't want the Italian guy, even though I'm actually living near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But the Italian guy is not going to catch us. Just living my virtual dream, living in Italy. So this is like 4 minutes, because you've got the climb and then the chase that I did onto it. So like now, from the start of the climb till right now, I'm over 4 minutes of this effort, and they aren't letting me back easy. But this is the thing, you don't give up. My whole goal in this is I'm not worried a single thing about anything after this catch. Like, my goal is to get to this front group, and eventually I do get there. But it was, we'll look at the numbers real quick at the end here, but it was just like 4.5, 5 minutes of some pretty serious effort. Now I'm definitely hurting. So now we fast forward here, because we're just going to kind of cruise on to the next point, to where it's my fault per se, but it just goes back to the thing where you don't worry about what's coming next. Like, if you're staying on the wheel, you do the effort to stay on that wheel. But But so for right now, I'm just sucking wheels. And one race tactic. So I just got there. It could have been one of those guys or two of them counterattacked me because I was already in the limit. Really didn't have too much left. Like, I don't know what more I could have done if they would have kept the pace up, especially if they attacked me. If they attacked me, I don't know. But that's the thing. They didn't. So they're just, now I'm just chilling, trying to get my heart rate down, get a little recovery. And I know this is pretty bumpy out through here. So there are several small areas to where, people can get away. You can attack. You can get gaps. So it's not super like steep or anything, but it's just rolling enough to where if you're not paying attention, you're going to have a gap and you'll probably get dropped. And I know the ZRL stage 2, the sugar cookie, is going to be interesting coming through here. I'm not looking forward to it. This is pretty much standard, just sucking wheels. I don't do too much effort here because the other thought to it is I'm in this group, I'm hurting, and there are 2 teammates together. So even though there are different categories, that's kind of the way I approach most, whether it's ZRL or ladder racing, however you want to come across it, regular scratch racings. If you got a couple teammates together, the same kit, or even in the name, I'm going to let you guys do some work. You're together. I'm just going to sit back and do my thing. And here, through this section, they do some tacks. We get a little spicy, but nothing ever really comes of it. We do get back together because you got to react. You can't just sit back and do nothing. And this new addition to Watopia is nice. It definitely is. Although I'm tired of all the new routes that they keep adding that are going up and down the grade. It's kind of frustrating. But I do like the additions. Any new roads to Watopia are vastly appreciated. Big time. So here there's a little attack. I had to do some effort. And coming down into this, I think there's another one coming. Right about here, because Alex and I did a little off, and I gotta do a pretty big effort to get back. And I say pretty big effort because my forte is not punchy, do some sprints, and then recover and go. And coming through this section, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm talking in chat while I'm live streaming. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I'm obviously paying attention, but maybe I'm just getting comfortable. I don't know how to say it any better. And look what happens here. Alex drops back, come up to this. He hits the hammer. And I'm in the group, like, I don't know, I'm just not paying attention, reading chat, yapping away. I see an orange number. You can see me look over at the screen. And I'm like, uh-oh. But I don't react quick enough. So now they are moving away. So now the alarm bells are going off. I have to do everything I can to get back on that wheel. I don't have to worry. I'm not worried at this point about the final climb. I'm worried about this wheel right here that I got to catch. Because if I don't catch that wheel, it doesn't matter about the finish climb. Like, my goal for the race, which was stay with every move and not let a single person get away. Like, so here we go. Like, this effort to get back at this point in the race, for me personally, in my style of riding, was a big effort. Like, that was pretty tough for me to do. And the other thing is, they did push the pace, but like they didn't, I don't think they fully followed through with it. I think they weren't expecting, my guess is they weren't expecting me to respond. But now we just kind of cruise on around. And this is it. These are some very talented riders. So I know that coming into this climb, like, I have to stick to what I do best. I do like this area. It is very nice. It is pretty. But I kind of wish... I kind of wish there was another way to get over in this area besides heading through the jungle or coming down the grade. But that being said, it looks nice, so it gives you something to look at as you're climbing slowly. So now I'm up to this point, and kind of like in my mind, I'm going through this course. I know there's a few more bumps, but most of it's just kind of flat like this. There's nothing serious except for the final climb. And I think it was 2 days, a day or 2 days before this, Casey Shum and I had did this race. So I knew exactly, not this specific race, but did this climb in a race. So I kind of knew what was coming. But I wasn't really worried about it. Because I was going to, at this point, I'm going to do my race, like what I can do. I know what I can't, and I know what I can. So up to this point, my goal for the ride has been achieved. It has been cover every move, make a move or two, do some effort. But the biggest thing is staying with the front group. And you can see those guys were 2 minutes, well, 1:45 ahead. So if I would have just kind of sat up, they weren't chasing. And that's what I recognize over the top of that, because the standard kind of protocol within Zwift racing is you get over the hill, and as soon as you get to the top, you rest. Whereas it took a couple seconds for me to realize that they're not chasing. So that's where I had to go deep. After that climb, go deep to chase them back. All right, so once we drop down, that's where in my mind, I'm sitting like, I gotta do my race, or my best effort. I can't go above what I have. I gotta sit at what I can do, which is the 4.4 to 4.6 range, or this climb, which I don't even know how many watts that is, but I know it's right around 4.4, 4.6, and that's pretty much where I sit. I do a little bit to kind of stay with these guys. But I don't get too far out of that, because once I go out of that, that's where at this point of a race, at this long of an effort, I can't do that. That's not within my current ability, or maybe ever be able to. We'll slow it down here because I want to highlight this. This is a very good point in the race. Look at this. All right, so the A's are doing A stuff. And I can't. This is my limit. This is where I'm going to sit for this rest of this climb. Alex goes, makes his move. So I'm like, all right, he's gone. And this is where the never give up aspect comes in. So I'm 1.5 minutes ahead of the people behind. Most likely, they are not going to catch. So I could just sit back, go to a tempo style pace, or maybe drop it back from, say, the 4.4, 4.5, 4.6 range, maybe down to 4.0. I could probably do that and still not even worry about, them catching. But just with the goal of the race is to push as hard as I can to prepare myself for the Sunday Race Club. And I just keep doing this. I don't jump up or anything. I just keep steady. And that's, at this point in the race, with all the other efforts, this is all I got. And my heart rate isn't has never really been super high. So like this 172, 176 range is pretty much my max. It's not my actual max, but like my, I guess, threshold max. So here we go. We got Alex made the move, and he didn't have the fitness that day, but because I didn't give up, I didn't overreact, I didn't chase anything. I did what I had to do to win this race. Now I was focused on a different thing. I wasn't planning on winning the race or being at this point to win the race, you know, in the position. But I held steady, and I did not go too much over or below that range of that 4.4 to 4.6, and I was able to do my thing, accomplish my goal, all because I never gave up, and the whole focus of that race was not leaving or not letting that wheel in front of me go. Any effort, I was matching. Didn't matter about what was coming 10 minutes from now or 2 minutes from now, even though I knew there was this big climb at the end. The whole thing was, if you want to be in the race, you have to do that effort at that moment. And you see in the chat, scrolling through that had been said a few times. I can't remember who all said it now, but I remember reading it as I was editing this and in the race. But like, it didn't matter. Like, you are focused on not getting dropped, and that's how you can approach kind of any racing. But this is the biggest one. You don't give up, because you don't know what's going to happen. You do, at this point, you do your race, your effort, and you stick to that. Like, if I would have went and surged, I would have died. But this was an excellent race, racing from everyone. You know, I covered some big moves. I got dropped twice and then chased back. So huge effort that I put in for that. And that applies with about all the racing. It just depends on what the situation is. But if you want to be with the front group and you got that gap, you go all in. And if you make that group, you don't know what's going to happen. They may sit up, they may not push the pace, you might be able to recover, and then you can get to the finish in this way. Here's just covering some of the efforts from the race. That's covering downhill, but overall it's been a really good race. Really happy with the results, and I appreciate anyone watching out there. Thank you guys very much.